Well, you have heard some great speeches today from Swamiji, from Tapanji, of course from my old friend, now old friend. I mean, the old means I've known him for now a considerable period in quite great detail. Rajiv Malhotra, and of course Kalyan Vishwanathan, been in touch with him for quite some time, and my host, friend Prakash Rao, and friends. I'll concentrate on the contours of what should be Hindu unity. We can get together as Hindus, that's not difficulty. We do. In Kumbh Mela, 1 crore people collect together. No government advertisement, no invitation, no subsidy, nothing. But 1 lakh people turn up. There's never a law and order problem. They don't even report thefts when that Kumbh Mela takes place. But all the Hindus come there for their personal salvation, not for bonding with other Hindus. We go to the temples for the same reasons. Not for being with other Hindus in the temple, but for propositioning the God for something. So, I am not talking about Hindu unity like a railway platform where people collect together. I am talking about a Hindu mindset. You must think like Hindus some part of the time. I'm not saying on a daily basis, for 24 hours a day, you should think only thinking of the Hindu cause. But I am saying that there are some issues which come up, and there you must bond as Hindus. It's an enormous power. We are, whatever the census results may be, not less than 80%. And if half of that, maybe 40%, vote as one, we'll get 2/3 majority in parliament. But we don't vote as one. We at most will vote 15-20% as one, and that on special occasions. So therefore, we have to construct by appealing to the mind of the people. Because today the battle is in the mind. It is not the battle of invaders coming with weapons to conquer your country. It is now the invasion of the mind which has to be liberated. And that's why I admire Rajiv Malhotra. He is not a historian, and thank God for that, because he would have been brainwashed by now if he was. He's a man who made a lot of money, one day threw it all away, and went back to the original documentation. He did not take the great names and their views and then recycle them, like most Indian intellectuals do. But he went back to the original. And that's what we need to do to know who we are. Before we can become a corporate Hindu, become of corporate Hindu psychology, we must first know who we are. Some people say, why should Hindu feel secure? There's such a large number, 1.2, nearly 1 billion people. Well, numbers by themselves are not enough. You can have 1,000 goats standing at one place, and one tiger comes, the majority is with the goats. But who will run? The goat will run. They will not run together, they will run helter-skelter. And the tiger will pick which is the juiciest one of them all, and slay it, and eat it up. nor strength is enough. You can have 5 lions in a cage in a circus, one thin ringmaster who tells these lions, get up, climb up on the stool. They'll all climb up on the stool. Each one of them is strong enough to kill that ringmaster inside the cage. But they obey him because the mind has been captured from when these lions were pups. Today we Hindus are like that. Partly goat, partly lion of the circus. Now, what explains why we are silent when 500,000 Kashmiri Pandits have been driven out of Kashmir and are living in refugee camps since 1989, 22 years. Refugee camp in your own country. I think we have set up a world record. Somebody should send it to the Guinness Book of World Record. Only country where their own people live in a refugee camp in their own country. Nobody talks about it. Governments have come, governments have gone. Unfortunately, when I came into government, we didn't last very long. And the problem had not started really. I became a minister in 1990. This happened in 1989. And by the 500,000 people, it was only after 1995 they all came up. Article 370 of the Constitution says that in the argument of Jawaharlal Nehru was that it is required to keep the demographic nature and structure of Kashmir intact. Otherwise, others from India will go and settle there. Well, that means that article also applies for changing the demographic composition by driving out the Hindus. So today I have a right to restore the demographic composition as existed at the time when Kashmir acceded to India. I can't ask the Kashmiri Pandits to go back, they will be butchered. But I can ask ex-servicemen, we have got 1 crore ex-servicemen, of which half of them are still fighting fit, because our servicemen retire at a very early age of 40, 45. Many of them are bored sitting at home, they are ready to sign up, give them weapons, give them money, and say go and settle down in Kashmir. If they send out 500,000, we will send out double that number. All these 500,000 Kashmiri Pandits had residences from which they were forcibly driven out. So you can take that address also and ask the servicemen, this is your house now, go and occupy it. I have a Janata Party unit in Srinagar, which is 100% Muslim. And they all speak about Kashmir being part of India. Courageous, brave people. My partymen there are not many, there are about 24 people. But when I had a meeting with the women of Kashmir, Muslim women, they told me that we don't want to be part of Pakistan. We'd be quite happy to be part of India. Because we know what our fate is when these mullahs take over. But the propaganda which is being unleashed against us is that the Hindus will never fight, and after much bloodshed they will concede. They conceded Pakistan, they will concede the independence of Kashmir also. The day it becomes clear that a leadership has come into the center of India which says not an inch of Kashmir will be parted with, we will pay any price for it, that day we will all be with you and not with Pakistan. document for it, although I have a document. That document is the instrument of accession. How was Pakistan created? 1947 June. The British Parliament passed a law, because there was no Pakistan at that time. They passed a law saying that because there are Muslims who don't want to live with Hindus under Hindu majority, those Muslims who don't want to live, we will create a separate country for them, and that was to be called Pakistan. And the resolution got passed. They also said, because the British only controlled 2/3 of United India, 1/3 was still under the Rajas, even though they had regions, the British had placed regions there. The Mysore Raja, they had Nizam of Hyderabad, there were about 600 Rajas. And the British declared them as independent countries, including Kashmir. Said, you are the paramount power, we took power from you to the extent that we put a region, but you are now a free country. Sardar Patel took the task of integrating them. Out of 600, 150 chose to go with Pakistan. 450 was remaining. Sardar Patel completed 449. At that time, Jawaharlal Nehru said, Kashmir is my hometown, it's my home state, so I will handle it. And we know what a mess he made of the whole thing. When I was a minister, I looked at the documents and I was surprised to find that we went to the United Nations and then declared publicly outside that Kashmir will be finally settled according to the wishes of the people. Because the Indian Independence Act of the British Parliament specifically says that if any king signs an instrument of accession, he does not have to take the opinion of the people of his state. And once he signs it, it is irrevocable. The question cannot be reopened. The king of Kashmir signed the instrument of accession. And therefore it became an irrevocable part of India. And there was no requirement that the wishes of the people should be ascertained. There was no requirement. The 150 kings who merged into Pakistan, they did not ask for the wishes of the people there. There were some where we could respect the instrument accession. The Nizam decided that he will not join Pakistan or India. But no sooner he decided that, he began engaging in butchery of those Razakars which were there. They started engaging in butchery of Hindus. And the people of Andhra, was what is now called Andhra, the Hyderabad state, they started running towards the rest of India. And at that time Sardar Patel sent the army to the border. He didn't enter. But Nizam saw the force and he signed the instrument of accession and became part of India. The same thing happened to Junagadh. The king there decided he will merge with Pakistan. It was a Hindu majority state. He decided he will merge with Pakistan. But then once he decided that, he started invading all the other neighboring states which had merged with India. So they all appealed to Sardar. So Sardar sent the army to protect these. But no sooner the army reached these neighboring states, the Junagadh king with 500 dogs, he left for Pakistan. I don't know what happened to the dogs on the way, but the Junagadh fellow ran away. And there was nobody. So the Indian army took it over. And the Junagadh king never made a representation that he should be allowed to come back. So those are two exceptions. In the case of Kashmir, it was a clear decision that it will be part of India. sign. At that time, Sheikh Abdullah also accepted it. But Edwina Mountbatten said, no, it's not good, it doesn't make a good impression. So you must take the people's opinion into account. Jawaharlal Nehru, of course, thought that Edwina's opinion is always more important than the Indian independence. I don't want to go into the reasons for that. But the fact is that it's an inalienable part of India. If you question the instrument of accession, then you are questioning Pakistan also. Because Pakistan is created by the same act. You can't say, I have this selective part, this part of the act I will accept, this part of the act I will not accept. Now, after creating Pakistan, if the people, Muslims of what is now called Bangladesh, which used to be part of Pakistan, decide to come into India, that means the Muslims are willing to live with the majority Hindus. So the premise of the Indian Independence Act is been vitiated, which said that because the Muslims do not want to live along with Hindus in a Hindu majority area, therefore we have to carve out an area. So I have proposed that, tell the Bangladeshis, please take your people back. If you can't, then according to the opinion expressed in the British Parliament, we have to get 1/3 of your territory. Because 1/3 of your population has come to our country. And if you don't agree, then I'll have to take it from you. For long years, our military has fretted that when we want to go to Assam, we have to go through Jalpaiguri, Darjeeling. It's a thin strip of only 40 kilometers, I think. Above is China, below is Bangladesh. They said if the two of them one day decide to cut us off, Assam will go. So I had a minister there briefing me. I said, why don't we, what should we do? They said, we need a corridor through Bangladesh. So from where to where? From Kulnan to Sylhet. Through Kulnan to Sylhet. So I said, well, it's going to be difficult. But today, recently I measured in the map, what is the area above line drawn from Kulnan to Sylhet? It turned out to be exactly 1/3. So send your army and take it over if they don't agree. Otherwise they can take back. They're Bangladeshis. Who those Bangladeshis are, Tapan will identify them. That is the kind of Hindu unity we want. We have agreed voluntarily to partition our country. There was never any Pakistan. But having agreed, the terms on which we agreed, whether we like it or not, we agreed, the terms on which we agreed should be respected. If they don't, then we will have to start ab initio. Now, you see, in one other thing which sometimes the Muslim and the secular crowd gets angry, when I mention that there are 3,000 prominent temples on which mosques stand. Many years ago when I was law minister, I was negotiating on this Babri Masjid. It was still not demolished. And the Babri Masjid Action Committee was headed by Sayyid Shahabuddin, who's a good friend of mine. And he agreed with me that if I can prove that below the masjid there was a temple, he would personally go and demolish that masjid. But unfortunately, our government went out I could not establish a commission to go and dig below and get it out. Now, of course, it's been established that there was a temple. The archaeological survey conducted, I think, in 2002 or 2003 on the direction of the Allahabad High Court. And they found that there is a temple below what is now the remains of the Babri Masjid. So strictly on that basis it should be returned. Same thing with Kashi Vishwanath. You can see their masjid standing on top of a temple. You can see Vrindavan. There are many temples. But I think the Hindus would be quite satisfied if the Muslims voluntarily gave up these three masjids. And it's very easy for them to give it up. One, because a masjid is not a religious place. Who says that? The constitutional bench of the Supreme Court of India, in a judgment 1994, Ismail Farooqi versus the Government of India. While discussing the Babri Masjid demolition, they say masjid is a building because it is only for facilitation of reading namaz. Muslims can read namaz anywhere, on the railway platform, while going by an aeroplane, in this room. Namaz can be read anywhere. And therefore it's just a building to facilitate reading namaz. So you put a building a little further away. In the case of Babri Masjid, the position is even more ridiculous. Because the man who demolished the Ram Mandir and built that masjid in the honor of Babur, his name was Mir Baqi. He was a Shia. And the Islamic principle is that masjids are managed by a mutwali, which is a hereditary post. It comes from father to son. So this Mir Baqi appointed a mutwali who was a Shia. And his great-grandson is still alive, living on the other side of Saryu River in Ayodhya. And he has given to Ashok Singhal of BHP an affidavit that I, Mutwali so-and-so of Babri Masjid, hereby declare that we have no interest in keeping this masjid. We want a Ram temple built there. We request the Hindu community build us a masjid across the Saryu River. So who are the people who are creating this problem? I am not going into the question of demolition of the masjid. Whether it was authorized or unauthorized, I am not into that question. There is a court case going on, let them decide. But I am saying that when the Mutwali, who is the sole responsibility, who has the sole responsibility under Islamic law about what to do with the masjid, he says that you can take it, but why? Who's stopping you? It is the Sunni Waqf Board, which has no status there at all. The Shias of India say, Mandir bana do. We have no objection. But these fellows say no. And the Allahabad High Court in the judgment, 3 judges, they wrote separate judgments. There's only one point they all agree. The Muslim judge and the 2 Hindu judges all agree, and that is that the the Sunni Waqf Board has no locus standi in this dispute. The matter in Supreme Court will win that case, I'm sure about that. But don't you think? Don't you think that the Muslims, in a spirit of brotherhood, should give it up? Saudi Arabia one day demolished, Saudi Arabia regularly demolishes masjids. Musharraf demolished one day 7 masjids. No protest. In Saudi Arabia, the government demolished a masjid where Muhammad used to pray, read his namaz. So there was a protest. At least Muhammad's And you know for what? To build a road. And some people protested. Muhammad used to speak here centuries old. Why? So the Saudi Arabia government formally issued a press note that now we feel more vindicated having demolished that masjid, because to raise this question of Muhammad reading namaz there means that idol worship has returned into Islamic practice. We cannot accept it. Therefore we have to demolish it. So if the masjid can be demolished, we are only saying that where Kashi Vishwanath, we know, we have documents, there is no dispute that Aurangzeb ordered it. We know that what happened in Vrindavan. We know what happened in Ayodhya. There are 300 such temples, or at least, which are very important. But Hindus will say, leave 3, forget the rest. But they are not agreeable, because they get encouragement from Hindus, secular Hindus. Some people say they are secular Hindus, S-I-C-K. U-L-A-R, secular, Sikh. We know that these are the things on which the country doesn't know the truth. In America, Vishwanda Parishad is constantly buying churches. I asked an American, don't you as a Christian feel bad? These fellows are buying these churches and then converting them to temples. He said, that's only a building. Once the cross is taken out, it's a building. So churches and mandirs, churches and masjids are buildings, but not the temple. When I became Minister of Law, a file was put up before me saying that when Rajiv Gandhi was Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi's only mistake in life was getting married to the wrong woman. Otherwise, he was a good man. I knew him well, I worked with him, I formed the Chandrasekhar government in alliance with him. He was the one who serialized Mahabharata and Ramayana in the Indian television, which evoked that film. In fact, he even went and did Shilanyas in Ayodhya and began his 1989 speech by saying, time has come for us to adopt Ram Rajya in the country. This Rajiv Gandhi said. So he had apparently initiated a case where, see, in Tanjavur, one farmer was digging the ground and he hit a metal. So he stopped and started digging and find out what is it. Found a huge Nataraj come out. Immediately realized that in the neighboring area, there was a disused temple. Nobody was praying there. So he said it must have come from there. He took it home and put it in outside his door because his hut was too small. And he started, celebrating. 2 touts arrived. And said, what do you do with this? Today you are celebrating, but tomorrow you won't be able to do the upkeep of this. So you sell it to us, we'll give you 25,000 rupees. Just 25,000 rupees. Farmer had not seen 25,000 rupees in 1984 in one bundle. So he sold it. They smuggled it outside and they decided to auction it in Sotheby's. And charged the price tag of the auction, minimum price tag, calling price, was £5 million. So at that time, the Indian High Commission protested to our government. Rajiv Gandhi just put a file noting that this should be opposed. But by then he left. I mean, he was no more Prime Minister. And then after VP Singh government fell, our government, the Chandrasekhar government came, the file came to me. So I said, fight it. we argued that when a mandir is built, a temple is built by Hindus, we do prana pratishtha puja according to Agama Shastras. And the prana pratishtha puja, what happens? The Lord comes into the murti and he begins to reside in that temple. So when you go to visit a temple, you are not just seeing a murti for your remembrance. God is there. That is the Hindu belief. And therefore, it is Hindu law that a temple is owned not by anybody who builds it, but by the Lord Himself. And we all can only be testimonies. That's what the Allahabad High Court judgment also says. That Ram Lala is the owner of that central portion of the Babri Masjid. And the others are trustees. Well established. And then the House of Lords upheld our view, returned the Nataraj's, that brass thing, and then the judgment says that in Hindu theology it is well established by the government of India that a temple once built is always a temple whether it is in use or disuse and shall remain without being demolished by anybody. So if you build a masjid on top of a temple, it is still a temple. This is our theology. Supreme Court of India says the masjid is a building. If there is real brotherhood, if there is to be real brotherhood between Hindus and Muslims, then of course they should give it back. Privately they all say we respect Ram. In fact, one of their poets who later went to Pakistan, I forget his name, he described Ram as Imam-e-Hind. Let me tell you one thing about Islamic thinking. I admire the Muslims on only one thing. Their mind is clear. I despise the Hindus on only one thing. They are a confused bunch. Muslims know what they have to do. And every day you can see examples of that. Muhammad divided the world into three parts. Darul Islam, where Muslims are in power. No caring for any majority or minority. Islamic law shall prevail, Sharia will reign. So in Saudi Arabia, which is Darul Islam, you cannot build a temple. You got 2 million workers, Hindu workers in these countries. You cannot build a temple in Saudi Arabia, like you are building temples here. You cannot celebrate Diwali inside your house. You cannot carry a photograph of Ramchandra ji in your pocket. If you do, terrible punishment. Will we say that this is reciprocity in India? You cannot build masjids in India, can you say that? You can't read namaz in India, can you say that? You can't have iftar party, can you say that? We don't, we are different. But the Muslims are clear that if it is Darul Islam, then no, nothing for minorities. And they have already implemented it in India. Kashmir, Muslim majority. Can any non-Muslim be Chief Minister of Kashmir? In Maharashtra, Antole became. In Bihar, they become. In many places, they become. Our Attorney General is a Muslim. We don't object. But the Muslims in Kashmir, no. Even in districts where Muslims are majority, in say Mau in UP, you cannot celebrate Diwali. They will not allow it. The MLA elected will ensure that he will take out a pistol and start firing. In Meerut, it's slowly becoming like that. In Tamil Nadu, which has only 5% Muslim, there are 40 Tamil panchayats where Muslims are in majority. In the local body elections, they get elected because they vote as a bloc. And they take control. Go and see this, how the Hindus live there. I myself was taken by the Hindus, thanks to Vishwa Parishad's leader Vedantam. I was taken there and I was shocked. Next to Vellore is a small town panchayat called Mel Visharam, where 75% are Muslim, fully developed with money given by the state for local bodies. But side is the Hindu area, no roads, no garbage cleaning, no schools, no buildings, no renovation. For 20 years there had been legislation petitioning these poor Hindus. Nobody wanted to touch it. No MLA, MP, Chief Minister, nobody touched it. Finally they saw me fighting for Ram Setu, so they got hold of Vedantam. They asked him to bring me. I went there, saw it. I asked them, have you been petitioning? Have you got records? They gave me a file this big. I went and filed a writ petition in the Madras High Court. First, when I argued this matter, I said that if you can't give justice to the Hindus there, partition that Mel Visharam, make it into two town panchayats. It's not big enough for one town panchayat, make them village panchayats. The Chief Justice got very upset with me and he said, you're trying to communalize. I never expected you to do this. I told her, Sir Chief Justice, if you can tell me only one sentence, that minority means only Muslims and Christians, and Hindus can never be minorities anywhere, even if they are only 10% of the population, I'll walk out of this court. Then he said, what did you mean by that? So I produced that. The Chief Justice went through it, he and his brother judge, and then he said, you're right. You should notice the government. Government couldn't give any answer. So direction was given. Either you restore the economic development of this Hindu area equal to what is happening elsewhere in the town panchayat, or partition it. Direction was given to the government, and that's how they were able to get it. Only one town panchayat. There are 39 more I have to visit. They are all asking me to come. Tondi in Ramanathapuram. So many places. But I don't blame the Muslims. They are very clear. They wanted to set up an Islamic bank in India. Islamic bank is a hoax. Because they say we won't charge interest. But then if you want to buy a house, they say we will buy it for you. They buy it and then put a surcharge and give it to you. So their interest is collected by the back door. But the idea was to set up Islamic bank in Kerala, to say any Muslim youth comes, they will give the loan without interest. But if a Hindu goes, they will say this technicality, that technicality, but privately say, convert and we'll give it to you. That was the game plan. So I went to court in Kerala. People threatened me, oh, this will happen to you, that happened to you. Some professor got both his hands cut off once. I said, well, I'll face it. Went to court, argued, won the case. It was dismissed. And that is the idea of this. So, first is Darul Islam. Saudi Arabia is Darul Islam. Any Muslim majority area is Darul Islam. Then it is Darul Haram. Darul Haram is where Muslims are not in power. There may be minority, substantial minority. Another condition is that the majority must be Pilpila, Rasgulla, like us, like Britain, all the time confused. There Muhammad has said very clearly, it's not in the Quran, it's in Hadith and it's in Sirah. People quote Quran. Quran, they only quote a part of it, which it talks about all peace and aman and all that. But you read Hadith and you read Sirah, they are the status the same as Quran. Hadith and Sirah say, do anything, but keep demanding, protesting, blackmailing, threatening, telling lies, do everything. But convert this Darul Harab into Darul Islam. That is your goal. And that's what is happening in India. Infiltration, that is the idea. Threatening people, that is the idea. Terrorist explosions, that is the idea. Overawe you, make you feel helpless. And then there is a third state which is called Darul Ahad, where the majority is united. There is what Muhammad says, don't provoke the majority, surrender. If they say uniform civil code, okay, of course. You can't keep a dadi, okay, no problem. You cannot wear burqa, no problem. Recently the Australian Prime Minister said, you want Sharia? Because one mullah said that Sharia should be guide their marriages. Want Sharia? Find another country, you can have Sharia there. So, what happened? All the Muslim organizations said, this mullah is a madman, don't listen to him. We are for uniform civil code. We will obey right. We will not have more than one wife. So, that is called al-taqiyah. Muhammad says they make a contract. So that's why today we have to understand the Muslim mind so that we can understand our mind. You unite, Muslims will become easily manageable. They will listen to you. Large number of Muslims privately are hoping that we will not surrender to the mullahs. They are hoping that we will take a stand. It happened when the Shah Banu matter, the judgment of the Supreme Court came. Large numbers of well-meaning Muslims came out in the streets saying, don't change the judgment. But Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was railroaded into. Naturally, if you become Prime Minister without experience, you will do all these foolish things. He himself told me, biggest mistake in my life I made is become a Prime Minister at 40. I just didn't know. Now the country is trying to get another inexperienced. But this Rajiv Gandhi was intelligent, this one was a Buddha. So therefore, he brought a legislation and changed the Supreme, overruled nullified the Supreme Court judgment. These educated Muslims who came out of the streets, they began to be targeted. They now knew that they cannot depend on secular Hindus to stand up. I can tell you the day the Hindus unite in the name of Hindutva, that day the Muslims will become the most reasonable, friendly, brotherly community of India. Not before that. If you want brotherhood between Hindus and Muslims, if you want harmony between Hindus and Muslims, the only way is when the Hindu majority asserts itself and says that India is the land of Sanatana Dharma, others can live like Parsis, Jews and others have lived. We were 100%. When the Parsis came, when the Jews came, what did we do? We built their synagogues for the Jews in Cochin and Bombay. The Parsis, we built them their fire temple. Today we can't even distinguish a Parsi. The Chief Justice of India is a Parsi. The Attorney General till yesterday was a Parsi. The Air Force Chief was a Parsi. We don't even know, most people don't know that Kapadia, who is our Chief Justice, is a Parsi. My wife is a Parsi. So I know that community is totally integrated itself. When the British left, they asked the Parsis, like the Anglo-Indians, we would like to make a reservation for you in Parliament. They said, no, the Hindus looked after us, but nobody looked after us. So we have to... The Jews, the first resolution passed in Israeli Parliament when it was created was, thank you India, you are the only country where the Jews were not persecuted. This is the tradition we have come from. And this is the tradition we want to preserve today. But unfortunately, in the name of globalization, We are forgetting our values. What was our value? That was first registered in my mind when an American student, when I came as a student at Harvard to do my PhD. An American classmate of mine asked me, how can you accept Mahatma Gandhi as your leader? So I said, why in America you will not accept him if he comes here? So he said, if he comes here, we'll put him in jail for indecent exposure. He was only wearing a lambetti. He was just wearing a piece of loincloth. That's why Churchill called him a half-naked fakir. You have to understand. I asked him, what about your leaders? Oh, they must be very well dressed. Dressed tie, dressed suit, everything. See our leaders. Even our religious leaders. Yes, Pope is very well dressed. Look at our Swamiji there. I mean, he's got a coarse cloth. Of course, Bhagwa color, but it's a coarse cloth. That's all he has. All our Swamiji, no matter how much big empire they have, they all wear simple clothes. Because that's the value. And that comes out of the debate between Brigu and Bhardwaj. Brigu and Bhardwaj had a debate how to structure society to a state. So Brigu said that the only way is if you decentralize power, and there are 4 sources of power, they must be decentralized. So Bhardwaj said, which are the 4 sources? He said, knowledge is a power, weapons is a power, wealth is power, land is power. And we must ensure that nobody has more than one of this. So those who have knowledge shall not have weapons, shall not have wealth, shall not have land. That is the Brahmin. Then the Kshatriya. He may have the kingdom, but he cannot make decisions on when to go to war. For that he has to consult the people with knowledge, the Brahmins. He cannot decide on punishment. Vaishyas made wealth, but they didn't get their social status because of that wealth. If they sacrifice that wealth in philanthropy, they got status. Those who had land, they had to produce for the people first. Then they could think of making money. That was the system. It was not connected with birth. Because Lord Krishna says in Gita that the Varna Vyavastha is what to do with guna, not with birth. We are all born Shudras. After that we pick our discipline, then we become Dvijas. Otherwise, when we are born, we are not Shudras. That's what Rishi Atri says. So if you look at the examples also, you find that Vedavyasa, who wrote the Mahabharata, he was born of a fisherwoman, not of a Brahmin. Similarly, Valmiki was born out of Dalits. His parents were Dalits. He wrote the Ramayana, became Maharishi. The greatest poet we produced, Kalidasa, he was a hunter. The Rishi of Rishis was Vishwamitra and his parents were Kshatriyas. Ravan was a Brahmin. And this idiot Karnanidhi did not know, and he was celebrating Ravan Leela thinking that he was doing an anti-Brahmin act. Ravan went to Kailash to pray there and he got. Lord Shiva said, whenever you call me, I shall come. And there he did penance on the edge of a lake which is now called Ravan Haranga. Haranga in Tibetan means Sarovar, that is lake. Ravan, I asked the Tibetan, he said Haranga means lake, but Ravan, some Indian had come. Somebody came from India. So I said, let me go and have a bath in that before going to Mansarovar. She said, no, don't go there. Because that will give you all kinds of itches. And if you drink that water, you will die. So I mischief, I filled a bottle of water, took it back and gave it to Karnanidhi. Please drink it and tell me. Show me you have faith in Ravan by drinking this bottle of water. So therefore, Ravan was a Brahmin, he had to be killed because he broke the law. And who killed him? A Kshatriya. Brahmins don't say, oh, he killed one of our Jatwalas. But Rama respected the institutions. So when he came to Rameshwaram, he did Prayashchit Puja because he killed a Brahmin. but after killing him. So I am saying that you could look at this. We venerated people who had knowledge. This is the knowledge century. Nothing to do with birth. It got degenerated when it connected with birth. Ambedkar, unfortunately, Jawaharlal Nehru made him bitter. And towards the end, he lost 3 parliamentary elections in a row and losing his deposit because Nehru ensured that he would be humiliated. And he became bitter. The society didn't stand up for him. His own scheduled caste didn't vote for him. But he was a scholar. And he went to Columbia and got a PhD in economics. His thesis was first class. Went to London School and got a law degree. And he wrote books on Indian culture, which you all must read. I've quoted in my recent book, Hindutva and National Renaissance, long passages from his book. He should be declared by all the sadhus and sannyasis as the new Brahmin of India. That would be the way to rectify. Because he was a scholar, he was a man of learning, and he had no money, he had no weapons, he had no land. He qualifies. People come and tell me I must defend the Brahmins because these Dravida Kadagam people in Tamil Nadu are attacking them. I said, you are a Brahmin? He said, yes, I am very much a Brahmin. My father is Brahmin, grandfather is Brahmin. I am pure Brahmin. So I said, where do you work? He says, I am director in Bata Shoe Company. But that's not a Brahmin. You have to be a teacher or an intellectual of some kind, where you live by your knowledge and impart knowledge. So I don't think this system can be rescued. We should all become now, first and foremost, we'll worry about the system later. First and foremost of all, we must say, I am a Hindu and I am proud of it without limitation. You see, therefore I will conclude my talk by, my hour is almost over, by raising a question as to what we should do, what you NRIs can do, what I can do, what any Hindu can do. First you must understand what your identity is. Today, after all the attempts of the British to divide us, everything is failed because this science has completely destroyed the East India Company financed history of India. It's still being taught in India, but is not anymore being taught in the same ferocity in other countries. Still some, if I get a government, the first thing I'll do is appoint a commission with Rajiv Malhotra as the chairman, if he agrees, to rewrite our history. We need a new history book. According to the DNA research which is now published in reputed magazines of the world, like Nature, University of Houston in your state, the Indian has the same DNA. The structure of our DNA is the same. It doesn't matter what color Indian is, because color has got nothing to do with race. It is your exposure to the sun, it's pigmentation. Michael Jackson once went and took out all his pigmentation, he became a white man. You know Michael Jackson, you've seen his complexion. Pure white, the white man's white. So pigmentation has nothing to do with race, but DNA structure is race. And we are all the same, and I proved it once. When Raj Thackeray said in Bombay, these Bombay taxi walas are from UP, they are stealing our jobs of us Marathi, we are different people. They must all go. So I got a friend to go and get a sample of his hair when he went for a haircut. And then I got one UP taxiwala and said, can I cut your hair? And he gave me a sample. I gave him 10 rupees. He gave me one strand of his hair. And I took it to Hyderabad to a laboratory, tested and found the DNA of Raj Thackeray and the UP taxiwala is exactly the same. So I came back to Bombay and announced that Raj Thackeray originally his ancestors came from UP. And therefore the first person who should be driven back to UP is Raj Thackeray and not the taxiwala. And Raj Thackeray has not protested. I told him if he challenges me, ask him to come on this stage. and cut his hair in front of everybody, and I'll bring a mobile testing equipment and I'll prove it that he's right. We are the same people, irrespective of whether you're Brahmins or scheduled castes or anything. So therefore, this Aryan Dravidian is all nonsense. I don't have to expound on it. Rajiv Malhotra has done enough, and you can read his book, how it was contrived. Arya just means good, a noble person. Like in Tamil we say Arya. There is Arya. There is no word Aryan in our scriptures. Dravidian means southern part. It says it's a sandhi of two words, thra and vid. Means to where the three-course meet. That means southern region. The word was first used by Adi Shankara when debating Mandana Mishra in Varanasi. He said, I'm Dravida Shishu. And then he expounds what that means. I told it to Karunanidhi also one of these days. I often discuss with him, although I don't like him at all, he doesn't like me, but we discuss a lot. Something good in politicians, even if you don't like each other, you can sit and have tea and talk about it. Some politicians even decide how to divide the loot. See? So therefore, I told him that, you see, this Dravid is not a racial term as you are making up. He said, no, it's absolute British historian, this, that. No. Then I said, if you are saying that Dravid can never be a Brahmin, then how is Rahul Dravid a Brahmin? Our cricket captain, who was that time cricket captain, he is a Brahmin and he is from... in Maharashtra, if anybody came from south, he would be called Dravid. So therefore, we are one people. That oneness must be expressed. And that expression must be so solid that nothing else counts. The first thing that counts is if you are a Hindu. Then if you are an Indian. Later on you can think of Italians also if you like. Our identity is, we are Hindus. That is our national identity. What is an Indian? An Indian is a Hindu, or those others who acknowledge that their ancestors are Hindus. If a Muslim says that my ancestors are Gori and Ghazni, then according to the British Independence Act of 1947, they should go to Pakistan. You want to stay here? You accept to be my brother, that we are of the same blood. We have the same tradition. The same Sanatana Dharma was, belongs to both of us. That is the way to unite Hindus and Muslims. Not by pandering to them, but by making them acknowledge their identity as a person who comes from the same lineage as I do. Second, if there is one thing that NRIs can do, or any Indian can do, says I can't get into all this, learn all this Vedas and Brahmanas and Upanishads and so on. The only one thing I want to do, tell me what? Learn Sanskrit. Nothing else. Because the vocabulary of Sanskrit is everywhere. Even those who talk about Dravidian, Tamil and all that, they use Sanskrit words all the time. Again, quoting the example of Karunanidhi, the name Karunanidhi is Sanskrit name. They say for their election symbol as Chinnam, that is Sanskrit for chin. They say that their Chinnam is Udayan Suryan. What is this Udayan Suryan? Rising sun. That is Uday, Suraj ka Uday. So these are all, 41% of the words in Tamil are common to Sanskrit. Karunanidhi said to me that the Sanskrit stole it from Tamil. I say it doesn't matter, it's common. Our script is the same, Devanagari and Tamil. You put ka and you want to put ki, you put a matra. You do it in Tamil, you do it in Sanskrit, in Devanagari also. So all these scripts have come from Brahmi. They are common. Every Indian language has the same phonetic principle as the Devanagari script. So everybody should learn Sanskrit and the Devanagari script. This is the second thing I would say for our identity. Third thing is, you must be a Virat Hindu, not a Dabbu Hindu. Virat Hindu means that if somebody attacks you because you are a Hindu, you will retaliate. And retaliate massively. That is why I said that if they drive out 500,000 Hindus from Kashmir, you send 1 million people back and make them settle down there. Let's see what they do. If the Bangladeshis infiltrate your country, take away 1/3 of their territory or tell them you take your people back. If the Pakistanis come and bomb Bombay, go and bomb those camps which you know exist in what is they call as the POK or Pakistan or occupied Kashmir. So these are the ways we have to build a credibility. I admire the Israelis for that. I can say with great pride that the first time India exchanged ambassadors with Israel was because of my effort as a minister. Till that time they didn't know they were. But the Israelis are Jews. And what the Jews were before Hitler, they could stand up to him. Because they were brought up differently. But that taught them a lesson. Today the new Jew, who is the Israeli, he has shown the world that even if he's 6 million and there are 150 million Arabs surrounding them, any of them can be defeated at any time. They're all well behaved. They don't trouble Israel at all because of their retaliatory power. Retaliation is an essence. So we are not just Hindus, but we are Virat Hindus. And finally, we must show our respect to gods by actively liberating our temples, not only from where they have been demolished, but also from the hands of the government. Swamiji here is doing excellent work. Padayatra. He has brought the focus to the whole thing. But I have got a court case which I'll now go and argue now when I return on the 11th of August, where I have said to the government, yes, government has the power, that if there's a financial mismanagement, they can take over that temple. But I said they cannot take it over permanently. Tirupati was taken over in 1933, still in the government. And the money of the Tirupati is being used for building madrasas and subsidizing Hajj travel, even building churches when Rajshekar Reddy was there. So, same thing in Karnataka. All misuse. 4 lakh temples are being, the lands of the temples which were donated by people, being taken over by politicians and they're building housing colonies. So I brought a legislation asking the Supreme Court to legislate that when the power is given to take over a temple, it carries with it a limitation that after 3 years they must complete the reconstitution of the finances of that temple and return it back to the trustees with whatever conditions you want. And if you can't find the trustees, you return it to the Hindu Dharma Acharya Sabha and say, please manage this. Tirupati must be returned. Put money in a hundi by boxes and almost by trucks, diamond, jewels, everything. And the total assets of Tirupati after all that they have squandered is $9 billion. Right? Padmanabha Swamy temple, which is not under the government. No people can contribute in the hundi there. Only annually the royal family of Travancore for the last 500 years makes a donation. And what is its worth? $22 billion. So Padmanabha Swamy temple with minimal donation can have over so many years $22 billion. How is it that the Tirupati temple has only $9 billion? Tirupati should have $90 billion, not $9 billion. Because of the squandering that is taking place. We must liberate the temples because that's where the gods reside. And we must build around the temple the universities, the yogashalas and the preachings of our scriptures and so on. And make them into a place where people can come, not only to pray to God, but to learn something, learn Sanskrit there. There are many temples doing that, but we must do it more systematically. and build a university around it. That was the original concept of the temple. And that's what we must bring back. If you do these four things, you will be a Virat Hindu, and nobody would dare to touch our country. We will become a global economic power within the next 20 years. That's what we should strive for. If India is strong, you NRIs will be strong. Don't think that because you have come away and whatever happens to India, you are safe here. No. That's what the Indians of Uganda were thinking. One day they were thrown out because they were Indians. The Fiji people also were thinking like that. The Indian got elected to be Prime Minister, the army took over and said nothing doing. Same situation is developing in Mauritius. What's happening in Guyana? In Bangladesh, they were 32% Hindu. Today, only 5%. Nobody talks about the religious cleansing that is going on. If I drive away the Muslims from Kashmir, oh, what a halla there will be. Well, I wrote all this in an article in Bombay, and all the leftists are very scared of Hindu consolidation. Because they know that, because they are not godless people, they are atheists. So they have produced a big petition, not petition, big petition, because Harvard has 10,000 students, they produce 200 students. Most of them are having long hair and lice crawling all over there. Dirty people. They submitted. What did the university say? They gave what India should have said in the first place. That whether you like the article or not, but the freedom of speech is sacred. Free speech is sacred. So therefore we are not going to take notice of the petition. Amartya Sen, who hangs around Harvard, because basically he's beyond 80, he should be really in retirement. But anyway, he is an old communist, he's been recruiting for the Communist Party. He was recruited by Sonia Gandhi to do this because they wanted me somehow to be prevented from coming to the court and arguing this 2G. 2G, the procession is very clear. First I said Raja will go because Raja gave away the license at 2001 prices instead of 2008 prices. The difference is 1:10. So if you had sold it at 2008 prices, India would have got $40 billion more. And those companies which got this, they gave a bribe of $12 billion out of that. They kept the rest for themselves as a windfall. And it was shared amongst a lot of people. Raja got only $12 billion means, multiplied by 6 over 5, it's about 60,000 crores. Raja got only 3,000 crores. Chidambaram got 5,000 crores. And Karnanji got 16,000 crores. Because he's got 3 wives, so we have to give something back. And Sonia Gandhi got 36,000 crores. So I got permission of the court to prosecute Raja. Because our Prime Minister is a boneless wonder, he could not give me sanction. And Raja bound. His special friend Kanimuri followed him. Now Dayani Mardin any day. Then I found that Raja is being sent to jail because he charged 1/10 the price of 2008. But the cabinet had authorized 2 ministers to decide without reporting to the cabinet. One was finance minister, the other was telecom minister. The finance minister at that time was Chidambaram. So if Raja is in jail, Chidambaram also should be in jail to keep him company. So I argued the matter on 13th May. Court heard me and said we want to hear the CBI reply. Then I couldn't have the matter listed in July because I was here. On 24th August, that will be Chidambaram will have to. Tihar is no more called Tihar jail, it is called Club Tihar. Lots of Tamilians. So the cook has been advised to learn how to make idlis and dosas. I have also written to the jail superintendent that please start soon to make him, teach him how to do pizzas and ravioli. She will rest in Bihar. So, this is a unique thing that has happened. That India, for the first time, is seeing high-powered ministers going to jail. Corruption, I'm telling you, is taking place in our country in increasing numbers because we have forgotten Sanatana Dharma. That's what I said about Brigu and Bhardwaj. This greed comes because you think money is everything. Money is your determinant of social status. That is not India. That is not India of Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma, you may have ordinary clothes. You may have given up everything. You may have no money. You may have to seek donations to survive. But your social status will not be hampered because you're working for society, you're working for knowledge. That's changed now. Globalization has made you greedy. Money is everything. That is why I say corruption is the cancer, Sanatana Dharma, Hindutva, which is meaning Hinduness, which is Sanatana Dharma. Sanatana Dharma is the cure. Corruption is the cancer, Sanatana Dharma is the cure. And that is the way we have to build our society. Remember that the rich people of this country, the white Americans, they are not happy people. You go to Sri Sri Ravi Shankar's ashram, full of foreigners. You go to Swami Dayananda Saraswati's ashram, full of foreigners. Ramdev, full of foreigners. Puttupati Sai Baba, when he was here on this earth, full of foreigners. Remember one American woman coming and asking him, Babaji, I want peace. Please tell me how. So Babaji says, you said, I want peace. Then get rid of I, your ego, and want, your desire. What you will be left with is peace. And she was so pleased. She made a huge donation. The richest Hollywood actress by name Julia Roberts came to India and she said, why these people so poor are still happy? Then she took her to the Swamiji. The Swamiji gave her what Bhagavad Gita says about Nishkam Karma and all that. She came back and became a Hindu. She made her husband Hindu. She made her children Hindu. There's no conversion. We can't give money to Julia Roberts to become Hindu. She's a very rich woman. Same thing is Stephen Jobs of iPhone and iPad. He went to Varanasi and became a Hindu. Large numbers of people are becoming Hindu, they are not even reported. They are already taken to yoga in a big way. They are learning Sanskrit because the NASA's report on artificial intelligence says the best language to store knowledge is Sanskrit. So they have now started a program. Bush's last act before leaving was to declare that any college which teaches Sanskrit, they will get special federal grants. So we are now in that kind of situation. Only we will have to be like we made, yoga became popular in India because the Americans took to yoga. So tomorrow they will learn Sanskrit, then we will also learn Sanskrit. That inferiority complex, please get rid of. Become a Virat Hindu. And I am telling you that these Swamijis, they may look ordinary, but they today exercise enormous influence all over the world because they are telling people how to be happy. Just money will not make you happy. You need a balance between spiritual values and material prosperity. In fact, when I am at Harvard, I get harassed by telephone calls saying, Swamiji, please come and give us a lecture on Bhagavad Gita. I say, I am not a genuine Swamiji. He says, oh, maybe it will double your fees, then you will come. This is the India that is today on the threshold. We can either go to the ditch by becoming greedy and corrupt, or we can rise to the top and become once again, the greatest economic power, cultural power of the world. I think some of our natural friends we'll have to work with, because we are suffering from terrorism and other things. The Americans and the Israelis, they are our natural friends. I think that it's possible to work an understanding with China. I find the Chinese very, practical people. When they make friends, they make good friends, and when you are not a good friend, then they will cheat you. So, therefore, we must understand that character. These 4 countries are the ones that will be shaping the future of the world. We should bond together, but first of all, let us liberate our character, let us liberate our mental blocks, let us liberate ourselves from our mental blocks, learn a new history, learn a new identity, take a new identity, that of a Virat Hindu. We will be all great people once again. Thank you very much.